Hi there, my name is John Stevens, pastor of Zion Lutheran Church in Oregon City, Oregon, and we're part of the ELCA, and welcome to Dollar Store Children's Sermons, where we take a look at the lectionary text we tie into an item from the Dollar Tree. This is for the narrative lectionary, and we're in Romans, and I love how Paul begins most of his letters. Galatians, I believe, is one of the few letters that he doesn't start off with giving thanks, but in Romans, starts off by lifting up, says, and giving thanks to the community and for what God is doing there. And he almost always refers to the people as saints, called to be saints, or you are saints of God. And I love that image because it reminds me that we are saints. And it's not because of the things we've done. It's because of what God has done for us, that God claims us in the waters of baptism. God claims us as God's children, and God calls us saints, set apart for holy and good ministry. So I'm looking at really two different directions. One, last week I suggested using a luggage tag or a name tag, talking about whose we are, and the ways that we can talk about that we are claimed by God, that God says, you are mine, and all about God is God and we're not, and we belong to God. This week, I'm looking at, if you didn't use the name tag, doing name tags that says, hello, my name is, and then underneath that, saint, and then their name. And you can do that with the kids. You could also print out on your inkjet or on your photocopier, print out a template of the my name is, and you could just have saint already there, and people can write down their names. It could be a sermon illustration, it could be a children's sermon, but this idea that we are called saints, and that's who we are. Now the other direction, and this is still in kind of trampoline springboard mode. I'm playing around with this, but there's something here. Having a can of Sprite or a Coca-Cola or some type of soda. And the idea here is, notice how right there I called it two different things. We got this can, and it can be, here in Oregon, we might call it, I'm going to get a pop, or I'm going to get a soda, or I'm going to get a soda pop, or I'm going to go have a Coke. 4 different ways of referring to what's inside that can, and how there are times that we might call something different. We might see something different. Paul's talking about we've spent some time in the narrative lectionary in Acts about how, and all that has to do with how God continually expands the circle of who belongs. First of all, it was just Paul was sent to the people of Israel. And then God expands the circle, and it's the Gentiles that are included, and the circle keeps getting expanded. And here, this idea that we could talk about all the different, whether, I don't know, there's stuff here about the things, we see all these things, we see things differently, but ultimately we are created people of God, called by God to be saints. And what we are and who we are is good and holy stuff, and it's because God said so. I could call whatever in this can, I can call it whatever I want, but that doesn't change what it's made up of. I can call it soda, I can call it pop, I can call it soda pop, I can call it a Coke, but in there, all of what this can, it's the same thing. Maybe another way of turning it around is that for some people, I'm pastor. For some people, I'm son. My parents, I'm their son. My kids, I could be dad. For Sharon, I can be husband. For my friends, I can be friend. I've got different titles. God says, you are my child, you are loved, you are mine, and I call you saint. That I make you saint. I've claimed you. So see where that's kind of what I'm working at. And maybe as I'm processing out loud, as I do sometimes, thanks for holding in and staying with me, is that it's maybe the different hats we wear. There's days where I play the part of pastor, and there are days that I play part of friends, and I'm that, but at my core of who I am, language that I wouldn't use in a kid's sermon, but still, that I am loved and a child of God, and that is my springboard, and it sends me into everything else of what God has called me to do. All right, so a couple of different thoughts on there. I'm hoping one of these might stimulate some of your own thinking around your children's sermon. And as always, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for sticking with me. And I hope you have a fantastic week.